So what are we working with here? What's our mugs? What's in your mug? Not wallet.
Don't worry about what's in it, but we got...
Who you got?
I got Muddy Waters, bro.
Nice.
And you
got Ghosts.
I got my mojo working.
I got my mojo working.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Bought
Here,
that on,
cheers.
Cheers, brother. I bought that on
Salute.
tour in Texas from Antone's.
Nice.
Like iconic blues club.
And with that being said, welcome back to another episode of The Career Musician with our brand new co-host,
Woo!
Mr. Joel Meza.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Happy to have you here, brother. Joel and I met real quick. We got to tell the origin story at an audition.
An audition that you were running. I hit up the day of. I saw the last second post and I emailed them like, hey, can I get on the audition? And you're like, yeah, come by this time. And I was like, any music? And you're already running auditions. So I showed up to the audition. I get out. They're like, hey, next group up. I'm outside in the line ready to walk in. And I'm like, so is there no music? And the guys in line are like, here's the whole list of music you were supposed to have. And I was like, oh. But, man, I honestly not being able to be prepared and just kind of like just going in with there was nothing I could do. I couldn't stress. I didn't have time to worry. So it worked out good, which you have a similar story with the I think the Babyface audition, right? You were sick. You just couldn't put anything into it. And you're like, screw it. Here we go.
Dude, I got off the plane from Nashville to L.A., and I was just sick as a dog. I must have caught something on the plane because the day before in Nashville, I was fine. Anyway, I walk into the studio and I tell the music director, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm sick. I don't want to shake hands. I told Face the same thing, and they respected that. And this is way before COVID. This is 2007. So I'm like, I'm here. I'll play, and then I'll get out. And I just did my thing. And like you said, I didn't prepare. I was just so focused on getting home, pounding NyQuil and crawling into bed. And sometimes it's the best. Sometimes that's the best approach. Zero fucks given.
You don't have time to get in your head. You don't have time to mess anything up.
Dude, it gives you the freedom, right?
Paid some dues. Yeah. I don't know if the dues card's paid in full yet, but I've paid some dues on it.
Bro, you played some blues and paid some dues.
I love it. Yes, sir, I have.
How about that? Yeah.
That's where I paid most of my dues up front, working with blues guys that just ripped me up every night for 3 years.
Man, I kind of love that. You were mentioning that in the episode with Max the other day, and I was like, man, that's really cool. I think that's a good thing. I think you got to have some of that friction.
Yeah,
for real growth, right?
Yeah, people always tell you say you're good, or after a show, people are like, yeah, those are the best guys we've ever heard. That doesn't do anything to help you, But when people's like, yo, do you know how to keep time, or do you know how to make your snare drum sound good? Have you ever heard a blues song? Blah blah blah. It's like, oh, okay, now you're gonna be growing. Now you got some stuff to learn.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I can relate to that. That kind of sounds like maybe something I might have said.
That does sound like it could be the school of Nomad there.
Okay, moving on. Today's episode, we are featuring a young, amazing composer and career musician in the business sense as well. She's the vice president of a company, and actually she is working with Devin Powers of Powers Music Group. And of course, we just had his episode on last week. Carly Lyman. And what I love about Carly's story is that she is a transplant. Now, that's so important because I know a bunch of you career musicians out there are listening to this from somewhere else. Maybe you're in a different state in the United States. Maybe you're in a different country, different time zone. And you're thinking to yourself, man, if I could only get to LA, if I can only get to Nashville, there is definitely some weight to that. And Joel, I'm going to pass the ball to you because you can speak on that as well, coming from Salt Lake City, right?
Yeah, Salt Lake. Yeah, we say it all the time, but must be present to win. It's huge. Being in the room, being around people where things are happening. I compared you're a piece of cookie dough, and if you get in the oven, you're going to become a cookie. It doesn't matter what you do, you're going to grow. If you stay out in the fridge, nothing's ever going to happen, but you move to the fire, it's going to build you up.
Dude, you could say that a gajillion times over, and we could never hear it enough. I love that analogy.
I love cookies,
I mean, dude, I love cookies too. But I love that, man. If you stay in the fridge, in the cookie dough ball, you're always going to be cold, and you're not going to have the access
It's safe. It's secure. It's easy, but it's like you gotta throw yourself in the fire, and you're gonna change. You're gonna change exponentially.
That's amazing. Okay, well, I mean, bro, with that one right there, high five, bro. I gotta give you some on that.
High
That's
five.
like you crushed that one. Okay. Oh, actually, before we go,
Hey,
cheers. Un mas. There we
the
go.
mug's up there.
All right. Okay, so getting back to Carly, another thing. So she came from Colorado to LA, and she talks about that. Again, I love that. You got to take initiative and just have tenacity and be like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Now, myself, I came originally from New York, moved to Florida with my folks when I was still a teenager, but then from Florida to Nashville, did that move on my own. From Nashville to Japan, did that move on my own.
Oh, I didn't know about Japan.
Yeah, I lived
That's
in Japan
cool.
for a year. And then from Japan back to Nashville, did another 8 years in Nashville. Then from Nashville to here to LA. And did that move by myself. I did all these moves by myself, driving across country, flying across the globe. I remember we overpacked. Well, first of all, we overpacked every time, but especially flying to Japan. We brought trunks. I'm not saying luggage. I'm saying trunks
Wow.
full of shit overseas.
And did you know people in those cities? Like, did you already have a good community, or were you jumping in, making it happen?
Bro, jumping in cold turkey, bro.
So you're saying I don't have to have a bunch of plans and everything set up perfect? It's just go do it?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, Joel?
Are you saying that I don't have to have everything planned out and everything perfect? I just jump in and do it?
Yeah. You see what we're saying here, folks? Come on. No, absolutely not. I was trying to be snarky, but the truth is you do not need to have it planned out. So relax. Take a breath. Enjoy life. For all we know, we're only here once on this planet, at least in this iteration that we can recollect. And you have to enjoy it. It does not have to be perfect, gang. It really doesn't. Joel can speak on that. I can speak on that. And of course, our guest today, Carly, speaks on that. Another thing I admire about what Carly did was she became the vice president of a prestigious music library company. And that's a huge thing. And she didn't do that by staying in the fridge, right?
No, man. She got out and the thing I really noticed and admired about her is kind of two parts. She made the moves. She worked, and her actions were like she wanted it to happen right away. But she also had the patience to let it grow organically. So she kept putting in the work, kept like with urgency, making things happen, but also kept a good perspective of like things are going to grow, it's going to happen. Just keep pushing forward, and it comes.
You're right, and I love how she illuminated that, and that speaks to the O in ethos, right? So I built the whole system on this, gang. Ethos, right? E is for energy, T is for talent, H, humility, O for objectivity. She remained objective enough to say, yeah, although I desire this to happen immediately, I am pragmatic and realistic enough to know that it's going to take time to grow. And that's having an objective stance. Because the opposite of an objective stance would be subjective, which is driven mostly by emotion and opinion, right? You're like, I want this now. No, you could. I want to just make it happen. I want to be a successful composer, a successful producer, successful. It's like, no, dude, that doesn't. Zoom out, relax, take a breath, take a beat, understand other perspectives.
And it's kind of, and they naturally oppose. The more perspective you have, the less you are controlled by your emotions. And when you're starting out, you don't have a lot of perspective, and that's why you got to seek mentors. That's why you got to work with people that are better than you that can give you that perspective.
Dang, bro, right there. That should be like a drumstick drop.
Yeah, this mic's way too expensive to drop.
Yeah, exactly. We're not dropping our Neumann and Shure SM7s. All right, so and wrapping it up with Carly, I also thought this was super cool about what she said in her episode. She is a co-writer of like a smash hit, like #1 bajillion copies streamed K-pop song with a producer and huge K-pop artist. And I love that because the way she talks about it is that it didn't go to her head. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, she doesn't let the winds take away her hunger and her, she's still she ate, but she's still hungry. She's still going.
Right. And we take each opportunity that is successful and we try to parlay it into the next, right?
Yes. And call back to the Imaginaries episode. Or is the callback, or is we done?
Yeah, no, it'll be a forward back.
Oh, okay.
A fast forward.
Maybe won't even bring it up.
That's all good. We're leaving it in
Okay.
there. I'm not editing that. Please keep that in. Fast forward to the Imaginaries episode, which you haven't heard yet, but you will.
Yes, little preview that subject comes up a lot. Leverage those opportunities. You're going to have opportunities presented, and some people may take them and do a little, like whatever the opportunity is at face value. But if you can see past it and see what you can do to build from there, make new relationships, give yourself more value, like from the Devin Powers episode, over deliver, those opportunities are going to pay out more than just that one thing. It's going to pay out tenfold.
Right. What would you say, since you moved from Salt Lake to Nashville to LA, what would you say the number one thing is that you've learned from firsthand experience that helped you get more work?
Ooh, I would say if I had to like distill it to like one thing, I would say two things: urgency and patience. Right, being out, making friends, being authentic. Wow. Urgency to make things happen, but patience, because then the biggest things come from that person from 4 years ago. That's like I just went on this big Canada run with this huge Iranian pop star, millions of followers, big show, great pay, amazing setup, from a guitar player buddy of mine that I met 4 years ago that, called me. He's like, hey, drummer fell through.
That's amazing. I love how you frame that. Urgency and patience, because they are juxtaposed. Like they couldn't be more polar opposites, right?
They are. Urgency in your actions, patience in your mindset.
Dude, with that, welcome to another episode of the Career Musician Podcast featuring Carly Lyman and, yes, our new co-host, Mr. Joel Meza.
Yes, sir. Like, subscribe. Don't be lame. Share the game.
Cling.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Carly Lyman, and I'm a career musician.
Carly Lyman, welcome to the Career Musician Podcast.
Yes, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
I am super stoked to have you here, considering we just worked together relatively closely with Powers Music and Devin Powers, and I got excited because I saw that you're from Colorado. I'm going to Colorado in a few weeks to hike Quandary Peak. What part of Colorado are you from?
Yeah, I grew up in Westminster, Colorado. It's a suburb between Denver and Boulder.
So you are no stranger to great hikes.
No, there's some of the best ones out there. You can get to any good hike within 20 minutes, I'd say, 15, 20.
Really? Now, have you done a lot of it, or?
Off and on. I feel like growing up, honestly, my parents weren't super outdoorsy, which is funny because before they had my sister and I, they were, but we never went camping or anything. But I would go hiking with friends like in Boulder, or we'd go up to like Winter Park, Estes, Breckenridge, a lot of the mountain towns. And we would hike, we would whitewater raft in the summer, and super fun.
That's cool. It's like living out in LA and people say, do you go to the beach? I've lived in LA for 20 years and I have been to the beach. Probably I can count on two hands this many times.
Honestly, I heard, so funny enough, when I moved out to LA, I was like, I'm excited I thought every street was lined with palm trees, in West Hollywood. That and the beach. I was like, I'm going to go to the beach all the time. And I think I've been out here for 10 years. And I think I've also gone to the beach maybe 10 times, maybe once a year.
It's crazy. And I think people who aren't from the LA area or familiar with it, it's just a trek. It's a job just to get to the beach.
Yes. And then find parking and then find a spot. And then, it's a whole ordeal, which I didn't think of. But the first couple times I went to the beach, I was like, this is a lot. I honestly found myself going to like Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear, and I'd go to the mountains and I'd go to the beach.
Right. And that's another good perk about living in LA. Again, for those listening, Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear are beautiful mountain towns with lakes and ski slopes and, cabins and whatnot. So yeah, same here. Very interesting. All right. So we just worked together on the Hollywood Independent Music Awards, and that was in July 2025. We are now in August 2025. That show, forgive me, I have to ask you because it was a whirlwind for me as the music director. I'm sure you know I was just busy from early morning all the way till we closed out the venue. I was also acting as production manager. So I had two jobs that just kept me ultra busy. So when I say forgive me, I don't recall us hanging out. Did we, was it like a passing in the hallway? What do you remember?
Yeah, I got to speak with you and your lovely wife Lola for a little bit, but yeah, I think it was in between. I think you guys were eating. I think the 5 minutes you guys got to actually eat something and I was just hanging in the green room. But yeah, I watched you guys run a marathon.
I do remember that now. Thank you for reminding me. And didn't we talk about our dogs?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's what it was. Because for a minute I was like, why am I blanking on this? It just happened. Okay. Yes. I do remember talking in the green room. Okay, great. So I think that's another great place to start musically. Again, I was introduced to you through Devin Powers, and that's with his company, Powers Music. So it looks like you are the VP of music over at Powers Music. Is that correct?
I am, yes.
Can you talk to us about that? Because that sounds like a really neat position to have.
Yeah, it's honestly such a cool position. So I actually met Devin at a session that I was helping assistant engineer at. And Devin, he's so lovely and he's such a people person that he wants to know everyone in the room and what their story is. And I was actually still in college when I met him. And I was just graduating as my last year. And he was asking the mutual connect of ours, I'm looking to bring someone on and kind of help push our trailer music division, because that was kind of the newest label that he had at the time in 2019. Our mutual connect said, oh, well, Carly might be a really good fit for you. She's just finishing college, but she's a musician and might be interested in it. And so I started working for Devin, starting with pushing and helping develop the trailer music side. And I've worked with Devin for 6 years now, and I help him oversee all of our different labels, about 6 of them. And it ranges from cinematic TV underscore to vocal music to trailer music. So yeah, I basically day to day, I help talk with music supervisors and I help talk with our composers to try and get the tracks that we want out on each album. And then I push those out and try and find homes for all of them. Amongst other things, I make cover art and just anything that needs to be done music related is me.
Wow. So it sounds like quite the multifaceted job. So from what you're telling me, you're the liaison between composers and music creators and the music buyers, which in this case are music supervisors?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then on top of that, you're doing some graphic artwork for all of the assets, right?
Yep.
Okay. That sounds, just those two things alone sounds pretty advanced. And then also it sounds like you're soliciting the catalog for placement opportunities?
Yes. Yeah. So I think
Wow.
the really cool thing about Powers Music Group and just Devin in general is he likes to keep his teams very small. One, so that, everyone can make their bread and can be successful. But also, I think the nice thing is since it's not a huge internal company, it's me, Devin, and then Devin's wife, Kristen, it's a very intimate teamwork situation, right? It's like I do all these things, but I feel thankful to be able to, I think I'm on the phone with Devin every single day. We're strategizing, we're talking about what albums we want to make. We're talking about, okay, these are the movies that are coming out. How can we create music to elevate those projects? And, how can we talk to our composers about what we're needing based off of the things we hear from our clients and our supervisors? The new season of a show, like what sound, are we trying to go for? Because Devin, on top of the many things that he does, also is the lead composer for a lot of these shows. So I think being able to work very closely with him and help, share that workload has been really, really fun. And it's given me the opportunity to try a bunch of different things and to work within a bunch of different elements of the sync world and music.
That's excellent. That's amazing. So Do you guys have some shows that you compose for exclusively, or are you just managing the catalog for several different shows and outlets?
We manage our catalog for many different shows, but Devin is the main composer and has worked on, he has his music in shows like Naked and Afraid. It's a lot of unscripted reality shows,
Yeah.
Murder by Morning, Dead by Daylight, a lot of those kind of shows. You know, we've had tracks placed in The Bachelor. You know, Devin's kind of a music magician. He's just kind of all over the place adding great music to all these shows.
I've had quite a lot of experience in my own right with my own boutique music library with a lot of those unscripted reality shows like Fast Foodies or 911 Hotline or,
Yeah.
you know, License to Kill or Who Do You Think You Are? Just all kinds of really cool shows. Like, so I get it. I love it. And it is really an excellent niche within the industry to find yourself. So now that you've been there for 6 years, have you gotten your hands on some composing for those outlets as well?
Personally, and with my music.
Or just in general, just composing for those kind of,
Oh,
you know,
I haven't.
requests?
I honestly really am inspired and I respect composers or people that write underscore. I
Yeah.
think at the heart of it, I'm more of a song girly. And not
Got
to
it.
say that I haven't composed things, but I think you know, there's composing a picture and there obviously is making library music and production music. And I think they're both so fascinating to me because I don't really do them in my day-to-day, you know, work and my day-to-day jobs.
Right.
Something I find so interesting about library music and production music is I feel like you almost have to be able to look ahead because you're not scoring to picture. So it's like, how can I write something that can be edited or that can be used to elevate this scene without having ever seen it? And
Yeah.
Devin and a lot of our composers do such an incredible job at that. So I've worked on some of our songs from our vocal label. I've co-written on those. Devin and I have a few songs out that we've done together. But yeah, I definitely, from a creative standpoint, focus more on the song and production side than I do the underscore composing side.
I love that. I think that's an extremely self-aware place to be because you're not trying to be all things to all entities, right?
Mhm.
Your specialty, you know, what I always like to say is niche down. You know the niche that you're really good at and you lean into it, you niche down on it. And that's so respectable because in this industry, it really does take a lot of different things as a culmination to bring it all together. But I also believe that you have to make a decision at some point or a bunch of little decisions that stack up to the path that you're eventually going to follow.
Definitely.
So it sounds like you've done that work and you're headed down that path, you know, like you said, for the past 6 years now. So that's fantastic.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that being said, it also is an interesting dichotomy that we have to kind of balance here in music because you are an artist in your own right. And then you have this quote unquote day job for this music company. But that's here at the Career Musician. Our mission is to empower musicians with strategies for a sustainable career. So that's exactly what you did. You've developed your own strategy and you said, look, I'm going to have this job that will take care of some of my basic needs, but also I'm going to have this job as an artist that will enhance, right, my life in the creative aspect. Can you illuminate us a little bit more about this and tell us more about, is this something that you strategically set out to do? Or is it happenstance or is it a combination? What was your evolution, if you will?
Yeah. I think at first it kind of just happened. I think after college, I was like, well, what do I do? I studied commercial composition and arranging, which is basically the track that I chose within that major is just songwriting and arranging. So I love songwriting. I love producing. I love just arranging different instruments to fit in these songs and in these projects.
Right.
And at first, when the opportunity to work with Devin came across, I was like, yeah, what's sync? What's trailer music? That sounds interesting because I just didn't, it never occurred to me, I guess, that was a job that people did, which sounds so silly because it's like, of course, any music that's made, right? Any trailer, any underscore, like generally people have worked on it to make it what it is. So I think at first it was kind of just I just felt like I got a little lucky because I was like, great, I have a job that will pay my bills. And also I was like, I have a job within music. So there's an opportunity for me to learn a bunch of different skills. And Devin's such a seasoned person in this industry that I was like, great, I get a job and a mentor. So like, let's do this.
That's a good deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think one of the greatest things, there's so many great things about Devin, but one of the things that I really appreciate is he's very supportive of creativity within his team. It wasn't a sense of, oh, I got a job and then I am not able to balance my creative work or other creative jobs that I have. Devin is super supportive. I mean, Devin has helped me get gear, for my home studio, and he's helped, I've played him songs. He's given me opportunities to write for the libraries and to co-write on these songs. So I think in that way, that also just felt very lucky that I felt like I had a boss and a mentor that was like, yeah, make your music, do your things. If you have questions on things, I'm here to help. So I think as time kind of carried on and I got more involved with Empower's music, and then I, got more involved with opportunities to produce and write for other people and then just have my own stuff, it's kind of grown into this nice like garden of being able to still do things creatively no matter who I'm working for, what I'm doing. But it's giving me a lot of information and experience, like how music business works, like how the sync world works. Like I think a lot of people that I've talked to can be such great creatives, but like the mountain of the industry, the mountain of like the business, like how do you make a career? How do you make money creating great things is kind of a cloud. It's because there's so many ways to do it, but it's also kind of daunting, right? Because, people make careers based off of just that one thing, right? Just music supervision, just being a lawyer, just being, a manager or an agent. So I think thankful, I guess, that throughout the years I've been able to learn little nuggets of information to be like, oh, that's how that works. Or, oh, you know what? Now that I'm in this situation away from, powers, how did Devin do it? Oh, that's a really great starting point to be able to start those negotiations. Or I have an idea of what a good licensing fee would be or what a good producer fee would be. And I think that those have been very helpful. So yeah, I think that's just been the evolution of kind of pairing something more maybe like business central to something more creative central. And that's been a really for me of the two.
Well said and well executed, because you really are sitting at an advantageous position by having this duality, by having this business entrenched, but still within the music industry, and then also fulfilling your creative desires. So that was really well, again, achieved. And I want everybody to remember who might be listening or watching that just like Carly said, she didn't have this strategy all put together immediately. It was a little bit of trial and error. It was a little bit of go out there and do it. And then it started to formulate. Now, something I want to talk about, people sometimes have a tendency to get discouraged by the whole concept of networking. Dare I say the dirty word, right? And here at the Career Musician, I prefer to call it relationship building, because that's really what it is. So there's a lot of happenstance. There's a lot of making yourself available. Again, I always say, get up, dress up, show up. So for that relationship to happen, that spark that ignited between you and that person who said, oh, I know somebody else who's looking for this person. And then oh yeah, great. They're out of college. This would be perfect. So talk about that, because there's times, I'm sure, as creatives, we all feel like, man, I don't feel like going out. I don't feel like talking to people. I don't feel like meeting people. I don't feel like promoting myself in air quotes, So how did that all come to you?
Yeah, I am. Well, I'll start by saying I am, at the heart of it, I think I am a little more introverted than like to believe. I am a studio girly. I love being in my creative space in my home. Yes. I love making stuff, or I love going to someone else's studio and making stuff. So it's not that I am super confident in going to all these networking events or going to certain things. If anything, I think sometimes networking events give me a little bit of anxiety, because I think there is this idea that I'm going to go out and I have to present certain things. And I think that can just be a little unnatural for me. So I think the two things that have helped a lot is honestly, what you said is just showing up. I think just being available and just being present. I don't necessarily think it's always you have to be the best at this before you can go into these doors, before you can go into these events. I think it's just you being you and showing, your strengths and your personality and talking about your strengths and your passions and your desires in conversation as they come up. But again, I met Devin because I was interning at a studio and I was assistant engineer. I was testing the headphones. I was like, yep, they all work. You know what I mean? Actually,
And that's a great example.
yeah.
Just being there, just showing up.
Yeah. My friend was meeting this other producer who was a friend of a friend. And she just said, oh, we're going to hang out and make music. Oh, just come through early. And I was like, oh, are you sure? And I just sat there. I was just hanging with everybody. It wasn't, I do this. And it was just like, hi, I'm Carly. Thanks for letting me crash your guys' meeting and your little session. And conversation started happening. He's like, so what do you do? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm a musician too. I love to produce and blah, blah, blah. And through that meeting, I actually ended up working with this guy who's an incredible K-pop producer and writer. And I did K-pop for a year and a half, 2 years. And I actually got my first Billboard #1 on a song that I helped write. It wasn't because I was this incredible writer who had all these great ideas. It literally, he called me on a Tuesday and he said, can you get to the studio in an hour? And I was like, yep, I'm there. And we were able to build those relationships, and I think just showing up is 90% of what you need to do. There's so many people that I've met, it's because I've just been there, and it wasn't this, okay, I have to act a certain way or I have to say, here's my resume. The times that I have tried doing that, it honestly has gone so poorly because people are like, oh, cool.
So
like,
true.
It's like so uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable. Like, oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Side eye kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think people ever want to feel like, same thing like when I've met music supervisors. I don't think people necessarily want to be constantly bombarded, especially if they're in positions of, like, if you're a music supervisor, your job is so important and it's so cool, right? Like you are like the tastemaker, right, of something, whatever project you're working on.
Yeah.
And I think that's so invaluable, because you're kind of the bridge between all the creatives who are making certain things and like your client who is like, I don't know how to describe it, but this is the tone that I want for this film or this project. But, you go up to music supervisors all the time. Like the amount of times that music supervisors get approached and they're like, hey, you're a music supervisor. Like I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a producer. I'm a composer. Like, can I send you my stuff? I just feel like sometimes it can feel very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Versus just being in the room and being like, I like your shirt, or just like, hey, like, how did you get into music supervision? Just kind of understanding them as a person and building those natural relationships, I think, is so much more helpful. And it, to the person, if you're the person approaching or wanting to network, it feels so much more natural to you because, as you said, like, you're building relationships. It's not just like, oh, well, I'm going to talk to you only because you can get my music maybe on a show. It's just like, I'm genuinely curious of who you are. Because we're in the same field, right? Like, we have the same passions. We've just chosen to go about it in different ways. So,
or like you said, I'm genuinely curious. Where the hell did you get that shirt? Because it's super cool.
Yeah, honestly, the amount of people,
being human.
yes, the amount of people in LA that, which is probably just because it's a city, that have cool style or just are able to feel confident in expressing themselves. It's so interesting to me. I love just meeting new people because it's like, hey, I'm meeting you and you have 20, 30 years of like life experience. Like, how did you get to where you are? Because I think about how I got to where I am and I'm like, oh, so you start over here and then it goes all the way over here. And, if that's my life experience, that must be everyone else's too,
Yeah. Okay. There's so much to unpack. I had to break out my Sharpie.
Oh, yeah.
And I literally took notes. Okay. Couple things. We'll start there with the tastemakers, supervisors, and connecting on a human level.
Yeah.
Again, the dirty word, networking. I prefer to say relationship building. And somebody asked me the other day, I swear, this is a true story. We're at a bar. He goes, man, it feels so weird networking. He's like, I don't know what to say, what to do. I feel awkward because, again, as creative musicians, a lot of us are introverted.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't know what to say or what to do. And we're just talking. And I said, and he had no idea. I said, oh man, those are cool kicks. I used to have a pair just like that. And he's like, oh yeah, it's cool. These are Reeboks, a retro 80s thing. I was like, oh, that's neat. I said, where'd you get those? Because honestly, it's not like the kind of shoe you see out in stores. You're not going to see that H&M, or if you go to Target, you're like, where did you get those? He's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, that's really cool, man. I'm telling you, I had the same exact pair when I was like 14 in the 80s when they first made those, right? And he's just blown away. He's like, oh man, that's so cool. That's crazy. Wow, wow. So we're sitting there having a beer and laughing now and talking about nostalgic shoes. And I go, see what I just did? And he goes, what? What are you talking about? I said, bro, I just networked you. He's like, what? I said, yeah, that's the secret to networking. Just be yourself. Just be human.
Yeah.
And his mind was blown. He was like, you did. You just networked me, man.
That's what I mean. I think it's a part of it. I think a mindset shift that helped me when I was networking or trying to build relationships, which is why I shifted from being like, I think I'd always get nervous and I'd be like, I have to talk about music. So I'm like, what's your favorite plugin? And then they'd be like, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, cool. It just felt very forced. So I think I'd always have to remind myself before events, and I still do this sometimes too, is like, we're all just human, right? We could have chosen anything. And you could say this about any career path. We all just chose something in entertainment or something in music. But, you know, we're so much more than our careers, and we're so much more than the things that we, you know, like the one big thing that we love and we've kind of dedicated our life to. And I think that kind of helps break the ice. Yes. And I think it also just helps at the end of the day look back and be like, supervisors, collaborators, mixers, mastering engineers, you name it, artists. I think at the end of the day, at least why I feel like I got into just music in general is like, I love connecting with people. I love feeling like I can feel things with people. And when I made that mindset shift to like, we're all just people and you can talk to them about anything. And, you know, sometimes you meet people and you're like, we just don't mesh as people. Not that it's anything bad, but it's like, we don't really have a lot in common. That's totally okay. I think there's also this misconception that's like, you have to be friends with everybody and you have to be close with everybody and you have to network with everybody. It's like, you just have to find the people that you connect with. Because, you know, the industry's small, but it's also big. Yes. You know, and you definitely don't have to make enemies by any means, but it's like, you will find people in the industry that get you, just like you get them. And I think that's kind of the foundation for building really great collaborations, right? If you meet someone who you can bond over shoes, you can bond over life experiences, they're for sure going to call you and be like, hey man, would love to get a session in. Or, hey, do you have a song that's like this? I'm looking for that. And then you can, you know, the conversation back and forth is a lot easier. Like, well, I have these 5 things. I'm going to shoot them over to you. Great. Okay. I love number 3. Do you have anything else like that? Like, it's a little more natural. And I feel like the outcome creatively always feels a little stronger because it's not like, I'm going to send this email and hope that it works. And then I go, great. You know, like
you're just going to get lost in the shuffle because there is no connection.
Hi, I'm Carly Lyman, VP of Music for Powers Music Group, producer and songwriter, and you're listening to The Career Musician.
That's the whole key, and I think anyone listening who hasn't experienced what Carly and I are talking about just yet, or you're hoping to break into these industry scenes, that's the thing. Find an icebreaker. When you're dealing with a tastemaker like a supervisor, yes, we all know that the supervisors hold the keys that can really help unlock a lot of pathways for a musician's career. But you cannot just come at them like the way Carly was describing. Instead, the way we both illustrated, find that icebreaker, connect. And the other part of that is just showing up. You said it. I was there. I was an intern. I was testing headphone mixes. I was just there. I just showed up. And I wasn't there thinking, this is going to be the day that I'm going to have a career break. You can't do that to yourself because what you're setting yourself up for is these giant peaks, but also what comes after a peak, a giant drop. And you don't want to do that to yourself. Another thing I always like to say is be pleasantly surprised instead of anxiously disappointed, right? So I love the fact that you are just yourself and you do have a really nice, even keel temper and vibe about you, where I do remember now, I said, when we were backstage, you were just chill. You weren't, oh my God, we got to do, and then I got to tell you about this, and then I better do, oh, and you weren't dropping names. You weren't bragging. You just were super chill. And I said, with my wife and you, we ended up talking about our dogs. Come on.
Yeah,
And who doesn't love doggy?
that's true.
Something else you want to say, and I'm just unpacking because you have dropped a lot of little knowledge bombs here. You also said, talking about this number one hit, and I want to tie that back in. Two things right there. You have to acknowledge to yourself, I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be amazing. I don't have to be the best at anything. I just have to be good enough. And you have to believe that. So believe that you're good enough and show up owning that, right? And then the other thing was the producer said, hey, can you be here in an hour? So these are two things that are really important for career musicians because oftentimes we second guess ourselves. I'm not good enough to do that yet. Well, who said? Why would you say that to you? Why would you put yourself in that box? You don't know. So you do have to show up and trust that you're good enough. Number two, a lot of people do ask, do I need to move to LA or Nashville? Sometimes the opportunities are here. And if you were still in Colorado and that producer hit you up and said, can you be at the studio in an hour? Your answer would have been no. I can either be there tomorrow if I take a flight, or we can do a video conference. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So talk about being good enough and being quick to the draw to show up at the studio to write your number one hit that you had no idea was going to be a number one hit.
No, that whole journey was such a learning lesson for me too, in terms of expectation, all this stuff. But yeah, I think, again, we're humans, so we always struggle with am I good enough? I feel like every time I take a new gig, I always have this little moment of, do I know how to do that? Can I actually do that? And I think that, I don't know, I found that so far in my career, that has never gone away. But I found ways to, I think, try and make that feeling kind of work for me, not work against me. So like sometimes I'll just be like, okay, well, one, they're asking you for a reason. Like they feel like they need to reach out to somebody, and specifically you, for a reason. That doesn't mean that you're that you're like a god and you're gonna figure everything out. Maybe you do, you never know. But there's a reason that people reach out. There's a reason that music is so collaborative, and I think that that's something to remember, is that they reached out to you. And it's your choice whether or not you want to take the opportunity. Like my dad always said, the opportunities are always around us. There's always doors at all times. It's just whether or not we feel that we're ready or that we want to take the opportunity to open that door. So that's also been helpful, because then it's not like, well, this could be like the only thing that can push my career forward. It's kind of like, okay, this is a cool opportunity that could be fun, that I can learn from, that I can have some fun with.
Well said. Well
you.
said by your pop, and
Yes.
well adhered to.
Yes, my dad is very wise. I think it's not a misconception. I guess it depends on your personality. But I remember entering the industry and everyone saying, you always have to say yes and you always have to fake it until you make it. And I think that there is a level of, if you take that as a little bit of a confidence boost, like you can do this. Like most jobs, if you truly know that you have a knowledge of and an understanding of the foundations of whatever that is, you can do it. But those always gave me a lot of anxiety, because I'm like, well, crap, like, okay, so am I going to say yes? Like if someone asked me to compose on a film, do I just say yes? Because again, fake it. And for some people, they do it and it works for them. But I think it's because that they have practiced and built up a foundation to be able to say, this is a big undertaking, but I can do it. But it would always make me second guess even more, because I'm like, well, crap, do I have to say yes? Do I have to do this? And I found that some gigs, I'm just like, hey, I am so honored that you gave me that opportunity. I don't think I can honestly do what you want, but I know someone who can. Let me put you in touch with them. I think, not saying I give every gig away, but I think understanding what truly you are, as you said, what sounds fun to you. I don't want to necessarily do projects that I'm like, I hate everything about this, but I'm going to do it because I think I have to. Some projects just aren't for you, and I think that's okay. I think there are ways that you can still show value and someone can still see your inherent value for the next project or for a different, they're like, okay, cool, you're not really a composer. Okay, bet I have this song that I'm looking for a soundtrack. Hey, you said you don't really compose, but you do songs, you produce, let's do this instead. So I think finding that balance and just telling yourself, what's the worst case scenario? You go to the session, you bomb it. That sucks. But the world does not end. You will find another gig and you hopefully learn from those things. Like there have been times I've been at gigs that I'm like, I definitely did that wrong, or I definitely didn't contribute as much as I wanted to, but you know what?
Yes.
I will just do better next time. I will take what I've learned from that. And I think that's helped with the whole good enough thing is, I don't think you have to be the best. I think you should strive to be the best you can be, but you don't have to be the best at all times. You just have to be willing and open to doing the best in that gig or in that session or whatever it's going to be.
Yes. It reminds me,
go ahead.
I love what you said about sometimes you're just going to bomb on certain things. It reminds me of a session I did for Danny Elfman. As a guitarist, he called me to play on the Men in Black 3 soundtrack. And I did. I went down there and we did it. And I would say 3/4 of the session I did really well. And I was there for probably about 12 hours.
Oh.
I was really good. But that last little quarter, there were some things that he asked me to do that weren't necessarily my forte. And there was something else that he asked gear-wise that I didn't have. And I felt like I bombed on these things. And that was the first and last time I worked for Danny Elfman. So the lesson there is sometimes you have these amazing opportunities, but like you said, you might just not be the perfect fit, or maybe you're a great fit for some of it, but not all of it. And how do you reconcile that within yourself? That's huge.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, right? Is because I think we all want to be, like, we all want to show up and we all want to do well. Like, that's just a human thing. And I think that the aftermath is always difficult. I mean, again, like even when I think sessions go well, sometimes I'm just like, I didn't do this, or well done. Like,
and then you pick it apart in your head.
Yeah. And I think that, I guess my mindset, and I think I do this so I don't just have a mental breakdown. I think my mindset is like, okay, what were things that went well? What are things that you learned so that the next time you can be better? And you just do your best to move on to the next thing. You recognize the things. It's like, all right, there are times I'm like, all right, I definitely need to study up on what this compressor does, because they clearly love this thing. And I was like, does that sound good?
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, great. Learning lesson. The next session I have, if they say that they want to use a Fairchild, I'll be like, great. I know exactly what to do. And I know exactly what sound you want.
Yeah.
You know, I'm being like, hey, but you know what? I still showed up.
That's right.
Because I think too, it depends on who you're working with. It depends on the caliber of, and the time frame of the project. It depends on so many things. But I think that people like a good hang. I think people like to have good experiences. You know what I mean? Like,
that's it. You hit it on the nose, man.
Yeah.
That's it. It's all about the hang, the experience.
Yeah. Because the reality is, you can always get better. They can always get better. Even like the best people the best songwriters write crap songs. The best producers make terrible beats. You know, the best singers have off days. Like, everything is not perfect, even though social media and all these other things make it seem that way. And I think that I feel like, honestly, there have been times that I've been called back, not because I was the fastest engineer or I made the most knockin' beats, but they're like, I liked making music with Carly. And did the song that we made in this session, was it great? No. But you know what? We could probably make a great one the next time. And then we get back together. And you know what? Sometimes we're like, this slaps, and it turns out really well. So I think also remembering that even the times that you feel like you've bombed something, to be like, let it out, give yourself space to be able to be like, that was horrible. And I wanted to just scream and cry and freak out, and then go, okay, you know what? Now I know either I need to get better at this, I learned that, or to be like, honestly, I never want to do a XYZ ever again. That's just, it's not interesting to me. It's too stressful. I will gladly pass that to someone that I know who loves doing that.
Yes.
Because I know that there are going to be more gigs, right? Like, people make music all the time.
Yeah, it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
Even with the advent of AI, people are scared. Human-made music is never going to stop as long as this earth keeps spinning, right?
I agree with that.
Now, if we get hit by an asteroid, okay, different story. But as long as the earth is here, we're making music.
For sure.
And I love the way that's a tool. Again, everything I do here is all about lessons that we can all learn. And I'm learning constantly, just like we all are. But I love how you reconciled. The way you reconcile it within yourself is you reflect and you take notes, even mental notes. Oh, yeah, I don't want to do that again. I'm not going to put myself in that position, but I will put myself in this position,
right,
because I want to do more of this. I don't mind learning about Fairchilds and distressors and all those compressed. I love that, actually. I'm going to do a lot more of that. Maybe you find out, oh, wow, I really have a knack for engineering. I love that stuff. So you dive deeper. But I'm not going to go into orchestral arranging for film. I know me, that's something I don't want to do. I love it. I can appreciate it. And I am a film composer. I consider myself a composer, but I'm not that kind of composer. And so that's how you have to work with these things within your own set of strengths, right?
For sure.
I love it. It's been very illuminating already, our conversation, but I want to maybe, taper off with this as we come to a close. As musicians, we're always kind of auditioning, whether we realize it or not, right?
Yeah, always.
Do you have any stories or insight about that, or about any kind of auditions that you've experienced throughout your career?
Yeah, they've always been random, and I've never known that they were auditions. So something that I found actually really great is, I think if you show up doing the things you love, doing things to the best of your ability, just being yourself, what ends up happening actually is, again, people like to know the person, right? So I've gotten gigs, the K-pop thing. It was literally because I just happened to be there. And it wasn't like, oh, I think I can network with this person. I just happened to be there. We started talking about music. He said, come to the studio. I came to the studio. I showed him my music. And by the way, I'm a songwriter at heart, and producing my own music was the newest venture at that time. This is back in 2020, the newest venture. So you best believe my demos were demos, but they were rough demos.
Yeah.
And he's just like, play me what you have. And I went, okay. I was like, here it is. And that started him being like, great, so you want to get better? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you want to make K-pop? I was like, yeah. And then I started working with him for like 2 years.
Love that.
Or recently I got this engineering gig. I track my friends because why not?
I love that.
Work with some of, a lot of them are independent artists. So I love vocal producing. I'll track their vocals. I have a great chain. I know what I'm doing. I can press record. I can work Logic. And the funniest thing is, I got this last gig because a friend of mine called me and said, I don't know how to use Logic, but you do. Can you talk to homie? And I was like, sure. I said, I'm not an expert, but if I can help, I'll help. And that turned into like me answering a question, me talking to him. What else do you do? And then, but it's weird because the audition part was just me doing me and having sessions with my friend. And then his friend needed something. And he's like, oh, I know who to call. I'll call Carly. One, I felt very honored. I was like, that's great that in a lot of these musicians' minds, I feel like someone that they can call and that I can help sort a problem. But I think in every session, every person you meet, and this isn't like a pressure thing, but it's like, if you just keep doing you, if you keep getting better, if you keep showing the world and showing the people in your community what you're working on, what you love, what you're good at, I think that is the big audition. Because then when things happen and people come to mind, hopefully they'll be like, oh, who's really good at that? This person. Oh, who's really, really a great guitar player? This person, because I just had a session with them. Or, oh, who actually just started wanting to take engineering gigs? This person, because they told me, or they showed me, or I was in a session with them and they hopped on, the laptop and we got some great takes. So I think that was a really big thing for me, is just knowing that you're always auditioning, even if you don't realize it. But I think the best way to do that is just to continue to work hard and be curious and learn and work with different people. Because, you know, as you met that person because of this person, because of that person, and you only met that person because you went to college together, or because you subbed in on their gig because their keys player was sick or something. You know, and it's the most random stuff. But I think leaving good impressions it can take you a really long way without the pressure of having to, I'm going to go to this event and to have to tell people, you know, what I do. I think it's better to show people. I think that's why social media is a double-edged sword.
Do you have a mic that you can drop?
I know, right?
That was so well said. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mic drop. You just laid it out. The big audition. Now tell me why you think social media is a double-edged sword. I love that.
Well, as someone who is always trying to figure out ways to make content that doesn't make me cringe at myself, I think that's so hard. But two things I think in social media is, one, it's like a moment, right? Like everyone's just doing this. So I think we have to also not take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, so you meet someone, you follow them on Instagram, you go to their Instagram page. And instead of me sitting here being like, oh, Nomad, yeah, I play guitar and keys and I sing and blah, 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 and you'd be like, that's cool. Like, I know 100,000 people that do that. That's great. You're like, oh, I really like the music that this person makes, or I really like the way that they do these covers differently, or, oh crap, I didn't know that Carly played the piano, but look, I think social media is a great way to show people what you do and show people what you're working on without necessarily having to shove it down their throat. You know what I mean? Because it could literally be like, I made a silly video, but the music behind the silly video is like my latest song. But it's not me being like, go stream my song. It's literally just like, oh, that was a fun video. Hey, that song was cool. What song is that? Oh, crap. It's this song. I'm going to save it. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many creative ways to show.
I know exactly what you mean. Now, Carly, just before we jumped on, she sent me an email. She's like, I hope it's not too late, but here's some links. And I'm like, no, first of all, it's never too late. And you hit me right at the perfect time, because I had just been sitting down for the past 10 minutes going over your stuff. But when you sent me the link, because I was going to ask you anyway, I was like, damn, because the first thing that popped up was Landslide, your rendition with the piano player, which I don't call him piano player. What's his name?
Jason Lux.
Jason
Lux.
Okay. Your guys' rendition is ridiculous. It's beautiful. So that's exactly what you're talking about. You know, now I would have stumbled upon it, I'm sure, but that's the whole point. You got to just put it out there, double-edged sword, make the content that doesn't make you personally cringe. But I know I fucking hate making content, and I fucking won't even call it content. You know why it's not content? It's my fucking life. I'm capturing moments of my life and my career isms that I do, and I'm putting them out there. Fine. I'd rather think of it that way than saying, well, today we're going to create content.
Yeah.
Jeez, what amazing life-changing artists, any medium, music or other, have you ever fell in love with that you say, well, do they have content? Zero.
Yeah.
You don't seek out good art for the content.
Yeah. I will say too, I think that's something really beautiful even to touch on, is like, I like because I also stalk the career musician. One of my favorite things, aside from just the knowledge that, you know, you have on this platform, but I love when social media, which I think a lot of people also feel this way. I love when social media feels very human. It's not like, and sometimes, you know, don't get me wrong, we set up the lights, we do the thing. There's obviously a lot more that goes on behind the scenes, make it look like DIY. But I do love when it is more relatable, because it's like even the camera angles of like you playing guitar, you're like, we're gonna lay bass on this now. It feels like I'm in a way having a conversation with you, and it's just the 30 seconds or minute that you're talking to me about something that I find really great, because it's not, again, I'm watching content, I'm this and that and this. Oh, interesting. Yeah, how do you do that? Or, you know, what is a plugin that you really like? Because I love the way your music sounds. Oh my gosh, I love that plugin. You know what I mean? There's a human element to it that I feel like, again, I'm not a social media light. I'm not an influencer by any means, but I found that I connect with those things on social media more because it feels human, right? At the end, they were all just chasing connection and feeling like we're a part of that conversation or that piece of knowledge or that experience. Long rant aside, I think social media can be a great tool for showing people what you're up to.
Just show people what you're doing. Don't come across needy or really desperate. Desperation is the kiss of death when you're looking for work.
Yeah.
And people can sense it. So,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Sure
Again,
can.
we have to find that safe space, that calmness within ourselves, and that stability and that confidence of knowing that we're good enough and we're just going to do our thing and be human and connect. We want that good hang, like you said.
That's right.
I love it. Now, in closing, I will say this. Once I jumped on your Spotify and checked out Landslide, loved it. And then I noticed you have 48,000 monthly listeners. Now, while that's not 480,000 or 4 million, it's still a lot for the average independent music artist. And I wanted to talk about that really quick. Is that something you did specifically that you said, I'm really going to hone in on Spotify and try to get my listenership up? Or did that happen organically? I will say this. For me, I noticed mine jumped up in the past 5 to 7 years, and it was extremely organic. I did nothing to promote it. It was just organic. So I'm curious as to how you got there.
I feel like the whole crux of this interview is me going, it just happened.
Good.
I
That's
think
good.
there was some like looking back, I can see why it happened. But in the moment, I was just like, I'm just along for the ride. So the first 3 songs, which if you look at the numbers, definitely there's a huge number discrepancy between the covers and then my songs, my original songs, which again is a whole other conversation. But so the first 3 songs I released ever under my name, under my artist project, were those 3 covers that I did with Jason. Now, Jason is an incredible, you heard him. He's an incredible musician, incredible piano player. So he actually hit me up during COVID and he said, hey, I saw you on this YouTube channel, Mixbus TV. You have a great voice. I make covers, acoustic covers with people that have great voices. I'm in Seattle. Can you come up to Seattle? And I was like, yeah, sure. I told my friends jokingly, I was like,
good
you
for
don't
you.
hear from me, I'm missing. But Jason, such a respectful guy, such a kind guy. And so we collaborated on these 3 songs. I went up there for a weekend. We cut these 3 songs. There's videos of us recording it on YouTube. And he put them out. And he's like, what name do you want me to use? I was like, Carly Lyman and all. That'll be my kickstart to putting out music. Because I make a lot of music, but I'm like, oh, I can't put it out. Oh, the classic artist thing. And they ended up doing really well because I think I was very self-conscious and insecure about my voice because I grew up like singing classical and music theater stuff. So like getting my voice to a point where it was a little more like commercially viable was a journey. And I feel like my voice, everyone kept saying in college, I just don't know where to put your voice. I don't know what to do with it. So I took that as, okay, so I'm just a terrible singer. I don't know what to do. And so I think
that just means you had a unique voice and people couldn't foresee where you were going.
Yeah. So then, he has curated an incredible community of music lovers. And again, he makes so many great videos and covers and he plays gigs around Seattle. So he already had a very large audience. So then those covers started doing really well. So I would say a large majority of those monthly listeners still, which I'm very thankful for because that was back in 21, it's 2025.
Yeah.
I think at the peak it was like 84,000, which for me was like a big deal because I was like,
that's right.
I was like, man, if it's 100 people, I'm stoked. And so that kind of gave me confidence to
84,000 is a big deal. I would be stoked. That's great.
It was crazy. I was like, especially for someone like that's my first 3 anythings in the world. So then I started putting up my own original music, which has been fun to see the difference of numbers. But I always try and tell myself like, it's not always a numbers thing, partly because I don't want to discourage myself. But the other part is like, like I put out a song, Castaways, in March. and I hadn't put out the last song before that of my own was We Ain't Friends that I put out in 23. So I put Castaways out in 25. And Castaways has like 13,000 streams, which for me, again, I'm not blowing up on TikTok. For me, doing a little bit of content push, I was like 13,000 for a song that I haven't released in like since like 23 is organically. It was not on a playlist. It was not like organically. I'm like, I think that's a pretty good start, you know? And so I've been learning throughout, you know, that release. Okay, what are things that worked? What are things maybe that didn't work? So the next release, we're trying new things. But yeah, it's all thankfully organic, which has been kind of nuts, to be honest. Like,
I love it. And now you just released Better Off, Falling Apart, which is your new single.
it is.
But see, so here's the key to this collaboration. I always say collaboration is key because music is a collaborative effort. You know, sure, there are the every once in a while Blue Moon Princes and whatnot, but even Prince collaborate. He had the most incredible bands, you know.
Yeah.
So look, folks, if you're trying to do something intentionally, say, oh, I need to do this, I need to get my numbers up, I need to just start collaborating with people and start in your microcosm. Start with the people that are close to you. A lot of times people say to me, yeah, but Nomad, I want to write songs for the big pop stars. How do I do that? Start writing with the people that you know in your circle right now. You're not going to get to Taylor Swift. It's not going to happen. You're not going to write a hit with Benny Blanco unless you happen to meet Benny Blanco by chance and you guys hit it off and you start vibing. Like this, that's the only, so it's just start in your little nucleus. So that's what you did and it worked.
Yeah.
So everything that you've been doing is working. I truly believe that you are an excellent model of what a career musician is. So kudos. Bam.
Thank you. Pooh.
High five through the interwebs. Basically, that's it. This has been an amazing interview. I did want to find out, what is that single that you did for K-pop? Can we check that out?
Yeah, it's came out in 2021. It's called Tamed-Dashed. It's by a group called ENHYPEN.
And then also, where can people find you aside from your Instagram, which is Carly Lyman _.
That's it. Honestly,
That's
just
the best
there,
place.
Instagram, and then just everyone DSPs, but it's all just my name. I couldn't think of a cooler name, so I just decided to go with my name.
It's great. I love it. I love it. Now I'm looking at this. Wow, 56 million. Hype Labels. Oh, actually, Hype Labels has 72 million subscribers. This video has 56 million views.
Yeah, so Hybe is the same label as BTS. So BTS is their big act, and ENHYPEN's gotten very big, and they've had a great discography pre and post this song. But yeah, it was so funny. It was just happenstance. I was just there, and you know, the person I was working with was just an incredible musician in his own right, and is killing the K-pop game. So it all just kind of worked out. Oh, his name's Peter Chun, but he's a genius. He's so wonderful, a great person, great collaborator, great producer, great writer, you name it, he's great at it. Yeah, so he brought me into that world, and it was a really, really fun ride. So, and he's done hundreds of crazy songs. So yeah, K-pop has been very fun. And I got a few more after that too, which was great as a writer, which was honestly kind of a confidence boost, because I was like, you know, being in sessions as a writer, it's like, you really never know. And it's, you know, you show up and it's not like it's a different kind of gig, as I'm sure you know, even within the music industry. So I feel like that was a really cool recognition.
That is. That's amazing. Yeah. Now, I have to ask, because this is really important, and you don't have to divulge numbers, but I would love to know, you did handle your business. You got your writer share.
I did.
Okay, good.
I did. I know.
Okay, it's so important because listen, you know, how many horror stories do you hear out there of people say, well, I wrote this song, but they never contacted me for my information. What? No, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Okay, I feel thankful. You know, Peter again helped me throughout all that craziness, because again, it's like international, so it's a whole other world of business. But the label and the companies were really, really great.
Excellent.
Were very helpful. Peter obviously was very helpful. So it was a good experience. But yeah, I definitely, again, it's like that business creative balance is understanding what you have and what what your rights are and what you can ask for and what you should have. So it's
That's right. And it's all about knowing your rights. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. So important. Carly, this has been really awesome. We got to work together and we got to do this interview. So that's a bonus.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I feel very honored to be a part of it. Thank you so much for creating a platform and a space for working musicians. I think education and knowledge is something that is honestly kind of hard to come by. I feel it feels like a, can I ask these things? Can I not? How do I find out information about these things? Like, I feel like everyone has their own little way of doing it. And I'm, again, very honored and very grateful that this podcast exists and that you have such a beautiful mission of supporting and educating, I think, just the working musician, because I think that's a really big thing. I wish that I knew about the career musician. I knew about these things like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would be such a helpful leg up. So thank you for making this platform.